actually started streaming publicly, and it was
Yeah.
just we had to like redo an intro, like a whole new segment. I was just like, oh my god, I feel so dumb right now.
It's happened
So
to me also. It's horrible.
yeah.
I'm also checking if everything's working this side.
Okay, cool. All right, audio's all good over here. Sounds like we are all set. Cool. All right. Sweet, sweet, sweet. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Joyage Kingdom. I have a super exciting guest today, a fellow NFT YouTuber. Guy put in fucking work. He's been grinding. I remember him from a podcast he did with Nate, a quick podcast little interview with Nate, and that was before I really knew who you were. So I remember I just watched it. I was like, oh, cool, another person working in the industry, connected with Nate. Pretty sweet stuff. But he uploads so much, probably more than me. And so, just so much respect to the man, Philip from the NFT show. Thanks for coming on, dude. It's gonna be lit.
Thanks for having me, Cade. What a pleasure to be in the Joyage Kingdom, bro.
Let's fucking go. Let's go. Learn with that. Learn with Ian's in the house too. He's in the kingdom with us, ready to learn. Dude, I'm fucking excited to talk to you. I'm glad you reached out and was able to consume some of your content. Was able to. Obviously I watched the interview with Nate, and that was pretty cool. But fuck, I guess we could just roll our intro and get started. Welcome to the Joyage Kingdom, everybody. I'm Cade, your guide. We will be replacing the little voices inside your head for now, giving you a break from the constant internal monologue that is the human mind. I want to say thank you first for listening, viewing, whatever platform you're on. If you haven't already, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, join the kingdom. Follow us on Twitter. I have his links in the description below. But Philip, my first question for you, brother, is like how you got a Clone X as your PFP, bro? How you get one of those Clone X's?
Wow. So it's quite a story. It's actually my second Clone X. My first one I sold and
Nice.
flooded. So basically, I FOMO'd into Clone X before the Nike announcement. So on the
Let's
secondary,
go.
but like the day before the Nike announcement. So I had to sell my World of Women at that
Hmm.
time. I mean, it's like a different world, but at that time, they were sitting at 2.5 ETH, World of Women, forever. Not moving. There was no guy, sorry, there was nothing. And I thought, no, I resonate more with Clone X than I do with World of Women. I had to sell my World of Women to get my Clone X. And I bought it, I think it was also around 2.5 Ethereum. The next day,
Wow.
and I'm like, oh my god! And it went up to 8, and I held, and then we got pods, the first pod, then we got the second pod, and then when there was going to be the box airdrop, they went all the way up to 20ish, and I'm talking 2 3 months ago, and I thought
Yeah.
no, and I sold like to make 18 Ethereum
Dude.
after
Oh my
after
god.
commission or whatever, maybe
Wow.
15 Ethereum. But I always loved it, and I love the fact that it's Nike, a big brand and everything. So then I sold, but I wanted to get back in, but it just never went below 15. It just
Yeah.
stayed and stayed. So first I ended up buying the stupid box, which I would have got it for free at about 3.5 ETH. Not such a stupid box because I actually opened it and I got my vial and my sneakers. So I
Let's
ended up
go.
pretty much getting back in at 12 after sweating for like a month and paying about 3 or 4 each to get a box. So I ended up making like nothing, and I shouldn't have sold. I shouldn't have sold, but that's my new Clinex that you're
Oh
seeing
man.
now, and that's my PFP. And you can see behind me, my wife did a painting of it. It's the top one on the
Oh
wall.
yeah, I
There's
see it.
Clone
Yeah.
X, and below that was my mutant that I had that I sold just before the land
Uh
airdrop at 42
well, I guess you
ETH.
probably got a high price, right?
Yeah. So I sold at
Yeah.
42 ETH just before the land drop. But the thing there is, I didn't know that the mutant lands would trade so high because they trade
Mm.
at that stage like 15 to 20 ETH. So the right move would have actually been to keep it because I loved it and to have sold the land pre-reveal immediately.
Yeah, yeah.
I would have been in a similar position. But yeah, as you can tell, I've got no loyalty to anything. If I can make 15, 20 ETH, then I'm happy to do it. And I
Fuck
get
it.
back into projects I like.
Yeah. Yeah, that is hilarious. Damn, that's a wild story to ape into something that literally moves the next day. I have a smaller scale story with that. It was just an exciting moment for me because it was random. It was just totally like by pure luck. I basically was doing a live stream and someone showed a project to me. Happened to be Cool Man's Universe, and it was when it was trading like 0.08 or something or zero point 0.1. And I was like, man, I fuck with this project. I was like looking at it like live on stream. I was like, yeah, I don't know why this project's so cheap. I think I'm gonna get some. Like this looks cool. And so I went. I think after the stream, I bought. bought in, and literally the next morning, Gary V comes. Either he tweeted it or someone found out. Basically, Gary V bought some Cool Man universes, and the price went from 0.08 floor to like 2 ETH in like 4 hours. And I was like, oh my god!
Oh
And I
my
was like,
god.
holy shit! And that didn't even
And did
sell.
you
So
sell?
no, I didn't sell. I
No,
still hold
you
that
gotta
one, bro.
sell.
No, I love that one. I got another one, and that one's for flipping at some point. But man, that Cool Man. I remember when I was surveying the floor, I was like, oh, I really like this one. And I don't know, man. I really liked it. I should have thought about it. Like some of the ways that people who bought Bored Apes in the back in the day bought Bored Apes. They're like, oh, there's so many here. I'm just gonna buy. I'm gonna sweep like 5 or 6 of them while they're at point two or something like that. And now they've changed their life effectively for the rest of your life. I mean, you sold a Mutant Ape for 42 ETH. Do you use that money for anything cool, or is it just more NFTs?
More nifties. It's already gone. It's already
uh,
gone. What did I get
yeah,
for it? I'll have a look. But good ones, blue chip ones, a few extra
yeah,
NFTs. Knowing what's happened to the market in the last 2 weeks, I should have converted it to USD
yeah,
because ETH has gone down
yeah,
an absolute fortune. But I didn't know that at the stage, and I thought, no, this is the time. So I bought a couple more. But yeah, in retrospect, I should have, and I would have much preferred knowing what I know now. But I
yeah.
obviously didn't know what I know now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's just how it goes. That's funny as fuck. Yeah, man. The NFT world is very unforgiving out there. I would say for most people to not to get out of the project or have a number at least of where you'll take the flip, because a lot of people they'll see that floor rise, and they'll just watch it go all the way up and then right back down the hill, and they just
Yeah.
never sell. Like I've definitely been guilty of that shit. I've done that so many times because I just get so attached to that NFT projects I don't even care about really anymore. But I'm just like, yeah, but that's mine. Like I don't want to get rid of
When
it.
when I started, I was like that very much. Like I've
Yeah,
been in the space for about a year now. When I started, I was diamond-handed. I'm a stock investor. Like I've got a huge stock portfolio, like shares, international shares. And the way you invest is you do your research, you buy into something, and then you hold it. It
yeah,
doesn't matter if it goes up or down. I'm not a day trader. So I came into NFTs with the same sort of idea, and I just got so burnt, Cade. Because initially you don't know what you're buying and whatever, and everything I bought into is now in my hidden folder.
yeah.
And I rode it all the way to the bottom.
Ah,
And then like the
shit.
penny drops, like if you can make good money, I'm
Yeah,
here personally to make good money. Then I'm gonna sell, and I'll buy back in if I want to, if the price comes right. But I'll tell you, for all the good ones where I've timed it well, there's many, many, many where I haven't. Like
yeah,
many,
yeah.
many, many.
Yeah, I think a lot of people do have that misconstrued in their head. They're like, "Well, most people are winning," and I'm like, "No, most people are not winning. Most people are very, very down in their at least in their NFT portfolio. Most people are down. The only people it's way easier when you have money because you can deploy money. You can sweep the floor of this project and this project and this project, and any of them take, you cover your bases for everywhere else. And so for people who are like in high school with like 3 grand to their name, it's like they go into the NFT space thinking they change their life and probably 99 out of 100 people don't end up changing their life. They probably break even or end up losing half their net worth. But you've
Yeah.
you've accrued quite a collection. But I wanted to ask before we got into there because you talked about I forget what you were saying exactly, but what were you doing before NFT stuff? You were in stocks, you're trading. Like what were you doing? What's your job? Like what the fuck?
So, so I'm 39 years old, so I'm a grandfather in the space. And for the last 20 years, I've been running my own company. So I went to university, I got a marketing degree, BCom marketing degree, and then while I was studying, an opportunity came. This lady's husband passed away, and he was a small importer of like physical products, of goods. And she came to a friend of mine who was like the friend's mother, and this lady were friends. And she was talking to the friend and said, I don't know how to get rid of the stock. And so Ellie, my friend's mom, came to Ellie and said, can't you and your friends try help this lady? And we, by mistake, got into corporate gifts and promotional products. So, that's what everyone in the space calls Joyage, calls merch. I know you've got all your Joyage branded stuff and your pens and your cap. So all of that. That's what I do. I run a company where we do branded promotional products.
Nice.
We've got some very, very big contracts. I've been going for 20 years now. So like now with the Premier League, we did all the stuff for BP, like some
Wow.
really good contracts. So that's what I do as my day job. And then I found NFTs, and I've got a addictive, crazy personality. And when I like click with something, I really go for it. And that's what happened with NFTs. I just wanted to learn more about the space, get more involved. And now I spend like a good 80% of my day on NFTs.
80%?
Yeah.
Doing what exactly? What is
So,
your day trading?
so yeah, so no, a little bit of day trading, but like doing research for the shows that we do, researching projects. I've got a Discord with maybe 400 people in it, just helping them out, answering some
Yeah.
questions or whatever it may be. Mostly just researching and like keeping my finger on the pulse, like news as well. Also consult for quite a few projects. In the early stages, I was doing community management. And that's a lot. That takes a lot of time, like
Yeah.
really a lot of
That's
time.
hard.
So at one stage, I was doing community management for 3 projects at the same time. Now I've stopped taking any more roles of that on because I just don't have the time. But there's still one project that I've been with for 5-6 months that I'm still doing. But when that finishes, I'm going to stop doing that because like there's a limit. I mean,
Yeah.
there's only a certain amount of time in the days. But yeah, so busy. There's not enough time. If I could, I would double the amount of time I have, and I'd still be busy.
Holy shit. Well, everyone who's in the chat right now, if you haven't clicked the like button for that story, then I don't know what's wrong with you. You bet you click the like button for
Come
that.
on,
That was a
click the
crazy
like,
story.
guys.
Yeah, click the
Yeah,
like
man.
button. That was an awesome story, and I can't. I think it's so fun when I am just doing podcasts with people and I find out what they're doing or what they're about behind just the NFT profile picture, and it's just wild the amount of different people that you meet and like so many different stories, so many different experiences. Like I never would have probably guessed that you were like, oh yeah, I run this entire company for the past 20 years. This is just something I do on the side. It was fun. I do a YouTube show now. Um, but that's fucking wild. That's really really cool. So with the show that you do, the YouTube show, is so you said 80% of your day is NFTs. But what percent of that is you degenning and shit, and then versus like preparing for videos and filming and editing and stuff?
Yes, I mean it really depends on the market. Currently, most of it is building and preparing for show and like fixing things and things like that. Because there's not much degen opportunities available. There's a little bit here or there.
True.
When there's a lot happening, like if there's 7 whitelist mints in one day, like 2 months ago, then it could be more than that. But now that
Yeah.
I'm there, I really am enjoying building stuff. Like that's what I did with Perkel with my business. I enjoy building something from nothing. And that's what I feel like I'm doing here. It's just like, I don't even know what my end goal is, to be really honest. I know I'm building something good. The people that follow me and come into my Discord and like, I'm just there for them at the moment. I don't know what the end goal is, but I just want to build goodwill and provide value and see where it goes.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's probably the best way to go into, especially with YouTube. So you started the show. What was the reason you started the show? A lot of people don't start YouTube channels because that shit is a lot of work and it's hard and it's nerve wracking because if you put your name on something and it goes to shit, people blame you. Like, why'd you start doing YouTube stuff? How long you been doing it?
So that's not too long. That was the end of December last year. So it's about 5 months
Mm.
only that we've been doing the show. So basically, because I don't know if you remember, they've gone to hell, unfortunately. I don't know if you remember Space Punks.
I yeah, I've
Yeah.
wasted many thousands of dollars. I think I bought it in a space punk at the absolute peak top of all time, and then I held it all the way down to its like peak bottom at like point 0.1, lost
So
like
you must
some.
have bought, if you bought at the peak, you must have bought just before the Dino drop, when it was all
I think
hyped
so.
and they were going to do their space dinos or whatever.
Well, at that point, we
Uh,
didn't have history to look back and be like, "That's a stupid idea. Don't do it."
Well,
So I
I
fucking bought
also
it.
bought that.
Oh, you did?
Yeah. So
Oh
so
shit!
basically, I mean, I was the first project that I bought NFTs in, right? And I literally just bought 20 because I loved it. It was my first project. I didn't realize you shouldn't buy 20 of the
Yeah,
same thing. It's not a great idea. Like 3 is more than enough. The rules of 3. And then it went like there was a problem with the mint contract, and they had to refund people, and all
yeah,
the hype they had went to hell. And there I am stuck with like 2 ETH worth of NFTs, and I thought, let me try help these guys selfishly because I really want my bag to grow.
right.
And I ended up like helping them with marketing ideas. Then they made me community manager, and finally they actually made me a founder. But in
What?
the end of the
What?
day, because they wanted out. So they sort of
Oh my
left it to
god!
me. but they didn't give me any budget or access to the smart contract or anything. So here I was, just playing games in Discord, trying to keep them busy, which is not really what I was supposed to be doing.
Right.
I was supposed to be. So one of the things I did for them at that stage, Space Punks had just launched their launch pad. So
Okay.
first it was Doge Pound. They were like the first that I heard of that did a proper launch pad, but straight after Space Punks did it. So I thought this is the perfect opportunity to try and get Wolf Club
Hmm.
onto the launch pad so we could relaunch. So I got in touch with the guys from Space Punks and I had good meetings with them and they loved the artwork of Wolf Club. They wanted to go for it, but
Hmm.
because the contract had already started minting, they couldn't change anything and they weren't happy with the way the contract was. So we ended up not being able to relaunch on their launch pad, but they ended up hiring me as their launch pad consultant. So I was
Oh.
doing community management. So what we would do is me and two mods from Wolf Club would go into any of their launchpad projects about a month before launch, and we would then like check their website, check their Discord, get an activities plan going, just advise them to try prepare them for launch.
Mm.
And I realized through doing that a few times that always they were looking for YouTubers. They wanted to find good YouTubers to promote their projects. And I thought, well, I want to offer a full package. So let me start a YouTube channel. And then not
Yeah.
only can I be their advisor, community manager, marketing guy, I could also be their
Yeah.
YouTube guy, right?
Hell yeah.
So that's why I started it. That's why I started it. But
Okay.
since then, Space Punk's launchpad has fallen. There is no such thing. So I haven't used it, and I've stopped the community management. So it's
Damn.
actually like I'm not offering that service anymore. There's just not enough time. But I enjoy it. I feel that there's a lot of people in the space that new people that just don't get the proper perspective. Like you said, everyone thinks that everyone's winning all the time and Lambo this and Lambo that, whereas most people aren't. So I just wanted to be like now it's become. I just want to be the honest voice of reason. Like really. Like I was saying for the last 2 months, guys, sell your bags. It can't carry on like this forever, when it was so good. Sell, sell, sell. Just trying to guide them, and guys, should I mint this? Bro, do you have the money to lose? No, I'm going to be borrowing from my mother. No, don't. Don't,
Yeah.
don't. So I like doing it. I enjoy doing it. I enjoy the space. I like meeting guys like Nate and who I wouldn't meet otherwise. And I've taken a liking to the space, and I just think it needs a bit of a sober voice, when everyone's going crazy.
Yeah, I agree. That was the with Space Punk specifically. I was the same. I kind of figured it was like a slow rug. I was like, are they ever gonna do anything? And I was just like, I don't think so. I was like, whatever. I don't even know. I can't keep track of all these projects anymore. Some I held for so long. Like I think I had an Evaverse for like 7 or 8 months or something like that before I sold one. Some projects I just forgot about, but that's what you were saying with what was the last thing you said? After the
Just to
bit of
be
us.
like advising the guys in
Oh,
the new people in the space. Yeah.
yeah. With being a YouTuber, I think a lot of projects do look at YouTubers. 'Cause it's kind of like when you look at like a YouTuber who's a photographer, for example. You think if they have a million subscribers, for example, you're like, oh, they must be the best photographer in the world if they have a million subscribers. But in reality, they're
Mm.
just the best at telling the story of photography through their YouTube channel. And so I remember
Yeah.
like vividly because Peter McKinnon was a photographer I used to watch when I was learning how to be a photographer. And I was like, God, this guy must be just on the next level of photography. And then he made a video. He was like, guys, I'm just like he's like, I'm a great photographer. He's like, but I'm not like the best at all or even
Mm.
remotely close. He goes, you guys follow me because you just like me, not because my photography is insane. And I remember when he said that, I was like, holy shit. And that definitely added to my arsenal with YouTube. I just wanted to be like same with you. I wanted to be like a stern, like honest voice in a sea full of fucking bullshit and people getting paid for stuff and then lying about it and taking these deals behind the scenes, getting paid 70 fucking ETH or something to just put an Instagram story up. And I
No
was like,
one told me
man,
about that.
bro, yeah, I was like, let me get some of that, but no, it's fucked, bro. It's fucked, and I just knew that this space was so early that I was like, it'd be a waste not to at least try and become a person or a influencer type person in the space because it's gonna be big. I was like, it works out. All the crypto people are huge because crypto blew up this past year. I was like, NFT is gonna be 10 times bigger than that. I was like, this could be crazy, and so I was like, this is it. Let's go.
Well, I agree, and I think the point is that we are still incredibly early, like really very early. There's one and a
Hmm.
half million active wallets on OpenSea at the moment. It's like I believe in the technology. NFT technology is the future. The blockchain side of it. I don't believe that pictures of monkeys and dogs and cats are the future, right?
Yeah.
And and we've all heard Gary Vee and everyone say 99% of projects long term, like within a year or two, are going to go to nothing. And I think that's the case. But I want to be able to understand this technology, so when it rolls out, whether it be memberships or in the real world, when
Yeah.
companies need that, I want to be that authority, because that
Right.
ties in perfectly with my promotional products game, because that's marketing.
Yep.
These companies are going to at some stage come and say, look, we want to launch a membership thing with an NFT. And I'm going to be like, listen, we are your guys,
Right.
really. So it is that as well, a thirst for knowledge and something that I really believe in long term. Same as what you were saying. It is that as well.
Yeah, and for anyone listening, that was a great, really fucking gold nugget he just brought up that I love to talk about too, of curating your audience and making videos specific to the type of person that you're trying to attract. Like when I started making videos, I was like, okay, I want to have a CEO watch my YouTube video and respect me and not be like this is some annoying kid. And I was like, I want founders, project founders, entrepreneurs, CEO people. I want to attract those kind of people to watch my videos and builders. And so I made videos that are very more geared toward that, like in-depth analysis videos or strategy or whatever. It's not so much buy this, buy that, because I didn't really want all the moon boys and moon girls. I was like, I'll take some, but I don't need all those people. I'd rather have like an audience that is very fucks with me and is like interested in the same things I'm interested in. So I made certain kinds of videos, and I think it's worked. And it's the same thing you did. You're like, look, I'm trying to be when businesses are ready to hire for this, I should be the first place they're looking. And like a
Yeah.
lot of content creators don't have that like tower in the distance for yourself to focus on long term so you can always be headed in that direction. They're just kind of making content just because, and they're just kind of like in the ocean swimming around, but it's important, I feel like. And you probably did it. I don't know if you did it on purpose, but it's probably going to work long term, especially.
Yeah, I think so. I do think so. And I must just say that even before I was interested in starting YouTube, I've watched you for a long time.
Let's
And
go.
you're great. No,
Thank you.
I do. I love it. And I love it's a real format, same as mine. Like ours are live shows. I know you do some pre-recorded, some not, or whatever. But it's the same. It's just real. It's just raw.
Mm.
It's just like whatever. It's not like you and I sat here for 2 hours before the show and said, "Look, I'm going to ask you this," and
Oh yeah.
it's just this is what like that's why I really do vibe with you, because
Yeah.
we both the same. It's like this is it. It's real. Whatever you're hearing now is the first time Cade's hearing it. It's the first time I'm hearing it about Cade, and that's it. And that's really what I enjoy about it. I mean, there's no preconceived outcome or anything. It's just let's go. I identify with this guy. I enjoy watching his stuff. He's always honest. I mean, when you came naked for the Invisible Friends one, I almost stopped. When you did that review without your shirt on for the Invisible Friends, I was like, okay, maybe. No, joking. And then you didn't
Uh,
even realize how brilliant it was because it was the Invisible Friends.
Yeah, that was actually fucking hilarious. That was like top
Yeah.
tier joke right there. For anyone who doesn't know, I did the Invisible Friends review and just wasn't wearing clothes, and the joke was like, "Oh my god, his clothes invisible." And I was like, "That's actually funny as fuck."
Yeah.
But yeah, no, I totally planned
You
that.
should have
100%
rolled. You
planned.
should have rolled with it. You should have said, "Yeah,
Yeah, I
yeah,
should
that's what
have.
I." You should have.
I should have. Damn, I just wasn't thinking. I maybe was high.
Yeah, yeah.
But hey, are you going to NFT NYC? Are you gonna be
No,
like connecting people there? You're not going.
no. So I live in South Africa. I've got three children, three boys, beautiful boys under the age of 10.
Okay.
And I've got this business full time. I got my missus. I can't leave. I don't want to leave them, right? And it's a long flight and a lot of time. And I don't want to take them all with, because then it's going to be an absolute nightmare anyway. So, no, if real life events in the States are really like something that I can't do. I miss it because I'd love to be at a VCon, love to be at these things, but just can't do it. No way.
Yeah.
That's where you're lucky, and you don't realize you're lucky. You're in the center of it, which is really really cool. But for me, I can't.
Yeah, yeah. For me, I mean, I'm in the states, so it's way easier for me just to book a plane ticket right across the country. But yeah, I mean, I know a lot of the YouTubers are going, a lot of TikTok people that I know, like a lot of content creators. So who knows what it's actually going to be like? I feel like when I get there, it's not going to be nearly as hyped up as like videos I've seen and stuff like that because you can control like VCon, dude. The VCon videos are going to be insane, but I guarantee you, if you're at VCon, it's not. It's like scaled down like 4 or 5% on like exciting, just because you
Mm.
can edit it and make it look like super hyped up and super cool. But that's too bad you're not going to go to the in real life events. I mean, I guess you don't really need to. I mean, this I feel like this NFT space is like kind of almost the first movement besides like the fitness industry encouraging like in person meetups and stuff. And like a lot of YouTubers don't do that ever. But it's kind of like a thing here, like to go to these events and NFTLA and stuff like that. What are your thoughts on it?
Listen, I would love to. I really would, and I do think that there's so much value there. Like you have to go to all of these things, because in the end of the day, the space is, and you know this about relationships. And
Mm,
you get there and you talking to guys and you connect with some guys, and that's going to hold you in good stead going forward. You never know when you're going to do it. So, like in the early days of Perkel, I used to go to China for all those shows, and we used to do local shows and all of that. And some of those guys are still my suppliers. Some of the shows we did here, a lot of those people are still our customers today. So, yeah, in real life is huge.
yeah,
The irony is that we're promoting a product that's saying, okay, the metaverse is the future, right? And you don't have to meet in real life and whatever. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh, we have all these in real life events. But I do think
true.
that these type of things will happen in the metaverse at some stage as well, and that will be cool because then I can come. I'll put on my Clone X avatar, my Nike shoes. But until then, it's not something I can do. Also, the time to like travel for 20 hours there and back, and the jet lag, and it's just like a waste of 4 or 5 days for me. I just can't do it.
True.
It's hard.
Well, it's whatever. I think you're right about the in person versus metaverse like relationship in the sense that like there's not going to be any point in a few years. But when I don't know if you watched the Gary V episode with Logan Paul and Impulsive, but they talked about NFTs for a lot of
The
it. They talked
recent,
about. Mhm.
the recent one, yeah, I did
Yeah,
watch
so they
some
talked
of it.
about NFTs, metaverse, talked about other things. But when they asked about metaverse, Gary was like, "No, we're like a while away." And Mark Zuckerberg also said the same thing, like we're at least like 5 years out. And I was like, I wonder if they really mean that, or if they mean like 5 years, but it's really like two, and like what that
Yeah.
even looks like. What are your thoughts on it?
So, so I think a few things. I think first of all, to some degree, what we're doing now is the metaverse. Like we're sitting in different locations.
Yeah.
Okay, my face isn't Bored Ape, fine, but this is a form of that, and we saw how quickly with COVID, how quickly that all happened. So I think to some degree there is the metaverse already, right? Everyone meeting on Zoom and all of that sort of stuff. The type of metaverses that we're thinking of, I mean, if you go to Sandbox now, bro, there's no one there. I
It's
mean,
shit, dude. It's
yeah,
absolute
if you
shit.
go to
Who's gonna? Why would you go
Decentraland,
there, right?
yeah, I mean the people is what matters. So there are
Yeah.
metaverses already around, but unless it's the place to be, unless it's cool and happening and
Hmm.
hip, then it's not going to happen. I think that if anyone has a chance to do it quickly, it's probably Bored Ape Yacht Club. Because it does seem like, not just from a budget perspective, which they do have, but it does seem like they working on a sort of like skin of Fortnite or something, which is similar to what NFT World has done, because they've got a working metaverse straight away, because they're working on Minecraft, they're working on an
Yeah.
existing. So it seems to me like Bored Ape Yacht Club is doing something similar. So they might come out sooner rather than later. With that said, if Facebook, with all their money, and they've said something like 70% of their staff are for the metaverse and have been working on it for 4 years.
Yeah.
If they still saying another 5 years, that's crazy to me because like Facebook has a shitload more money than Bored Ape
Yeah.
Yacht Club does. So it's going to be interesting to see. But I mean, NFT World is a good example of a metaverse that seems to, be rolled out and seems to be working to some degree. So yeah, I think we'll have different forms of it, but like a central metaverse, I don't know if we'll ever have that because
Yeah.
some guys aren't going to want to come to the Facebook one because it's
Yeah.
not
Yeah.
decentralized, and I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see, but there are versions of it already out for sure.
Yeah, it's kind of like in the real world where it's like, do you want to go to like Japan, for example, which is very conservative, traditional, and live there? And you're like, well, no, I wouldn't. And it's kind of like with the metaverse. You're like, do you want to go to this metaverse? It's got these rules. You can't do this. You can't do that. And you're like, I don't want to go there. Let's just go to this one
The,
instead. But I do wonder how much people are actually going to spend there. Like until it's got to be like almost complete. Like it has to be indistinguishable from real life before people consider spending, up to like 10 to 12 hours in the metaverse just to go to sleep in the real world to wake up and do it again, like an Avatar or in Ready Player One or whatever those metaverse movies are. But do you think that people are just gonna give up on the natural life? I feel like there's such a big movement for people to like go internal and like figure out life out here and hug trees and shit. But like when the metaverse gets introduced, I feel like are we just gonna like, lose ourselves and become these cyborgs?
So look, I mean, at the moment, Mark Zuckerberg has said very clearly that you're going to have to wear something, an Oculus or VR
Yeah.
or whatever. And I'm not personally going to be sitting there like that all day, like walking
Mm-hmm.
around the place. So, from that side of things, I don't know. I think it's going to be more integrated into our life. So the same way, like you sit at your computer and go on Google and search for whatever you're interested in, now you'll enter sort of a metaverse where you
Mm,
type that in and you end up finding your searches almost like in front of you that you can see and touch and feel. Or if you're going shopping, like on a eBay or whatever, here you'll be walking through almost like a shop. So I think it will sort of be the same as what it is. You're not going to like sit there for 12. Well, some people will. I mean, there are some people that sit on the internet 18 hours a day. But in general, the average person, when they go on a Google or a Facebook, instead of it being 2D like it is now, it's going to be immersive. It's going to be like you walking around, seeing your messages and being able to speak to the person who just sent it. But you're
yeah.
not going to spend 14 hours a day on Facebook unless you do currently, right?
Mm, that is interesting.
That's how I
Yeah.
picture it, but I don't know. I mean, who knows? But that's how I think about it.
Yeah. Well, and you're also, yeah, I feel like in your position, people probably are coming to you from a place of trying to learn and just like ask a lot of questions. What do you say for people who are trying to like break into the space, I guess, or like I don't know, come up with skills that for jobs that don't exist yet, kind of thing. Like, how can they prepare? Like, is it just to learn coding? Like, I feel like coding is a pretty solid answer for a lot of people, but the thing is, coding sucks. Like, I fucking hate
Yeah.
coding. It's hard and it's not fun at all. But I don't know what to tell people sometimes. I'm just like, I feel like creating content is the best way because to be like a face and a personality is just very helpful. Like in all genres, you can always use that and leverage your audience and leverage the support you have and stuff like that. But I don't know what else I would tell them. Like, just
So I think
connections.
like not everyone's wired like you and me to do this, right? I think it's the same as if like one of my children came to me in 10 years and said, "What should I do as a job?" I think
Mm,
that the answer is you've got to find what you actually enjoy in the space. So if you do enjoy being in front of a camera, then yes, definitely do content creating. If you enjoy coding, then learn how to do a contract, a smart contract. If you enjoy people, then become a mod somewhere and learn how to become a community manager. So don't just do something, because if you're doing it just because you think that's the skill that's going to be needed and you don't enjoy it, you won't stick with it. Because any of those things are hard work, consistent work. I mean, I can see how much work you put into your YouTube side. Guys see it, they just think you pitch up, and and I know you can't do that unless you've got a passion for it, and you do.
yeah.
But you would maybe do it for 4 months and then stop. So I would say to those people, find what you love. Find what you love in the space and what part of it. If you love drawing and art, become a digital artist. So find something you love and do that, because then you'll be successful no matter what, because you'll enjoy it, right?
Yeah, that's a great that was a great little bit right there. We're gonna clip that as a soundbite or something for a TikTok
Sure.
highlight. That was a great hit. Yeah, that's some great points there, especially with I mean, it's no different than you picking like a major. It's like we'll just pick something in and around something that you're sort of mildly interested in, and just like dive into there. Like Alex Becker, another YouTuber that you may have heard of, he does like crypto and NFT content. He's the founder of Neo Tokyo. He always talks about dialing in and picking one thing probably and get just become an expert at it. He goes, then you can kind of branch off. He goes, but you need to be an expert at something. Otherwise, you'll never hit a home run. You'll just hit a bunch of singles and keep striking out and shit like that. And
Yeah.
I was just like, that's a great point. Like, you do need to have something mastered or something that you're working toward mastering as like your core everything. And then everything else just kind of surrounds it.
Yeah, but make sure that that's something that you at least partly enjoy and find
Yeah.
interesting, because otherwise you won't have the staying power to do it,
Hmm.
and then you'll end up
Agree.
changing midstream and wasting it. But yeah, I agree. I agree. You want to master something, but yeah, you got to go with it. Otherwise, you give up at the first hurdle if you don't
Right.
really have some sort of passion for it.
Yeah, yeah, I 100% with the camera, especially with the camera thing. How you said you're like, if you like being on camera, then it probably makes sense. But if you don't like it, don't do it. Because yeah, there's many days where I don't really feel like filming, and I'll still
Mm,
film like 4 videos in a row, where I have to edit like 5 videos. I'm like, I just really would rather do anything else on earth than edit these
yeah,
videos. But I still have to do it. It's not that bad. Like I'm sitting there, I'm like, I'd rather be here than like fucking cleaning dishes at a restaurant or something like that. Like
for
like a
sure.
normal job.
But
Um,
Cade, I really need to tell you this. You need to find an editor and a thumbnail guy, really and truly, because if you had that time freed up, you could do so much more with it. You could do more content. You could do so really. You're at the stage now, and it doesn't matter what industry it is. When I started Perkel, and I started it from my parents' house. I was the receptionist. I was the driver, and oh, let me check with accounts quickly, and I'm accounts, and But there comes a stage where and you at that stage where your time is more valuable to be done on stuff that only Cade can do, right? And the stuff that a lot of other people can do, and it's not expensive to get that if you find the right person. Honestly, you need to take that plunge. You have to.
Mm,
You have to, and you'll find it will change your life. You'll now be freed up to do so much more that will have yield better results with your time than what you're doing. And in the beginning, you got to do it yourself because
yeah,
there's
yep.
just no budget, and But at this point, with the amount it will cost you, I mean, just put a thing in your Discord and say who's got editing experience, and open a ticket and whatever. Get a few people, chat to them, see you can do it, and get it sorted. You'll spend a few hours teaching them how you'd want
Yeah.
it and everything, but you'll never look back. It's like when I hired my first driver or my first receptionist, or it just changes your life. And I'm telling you that you're at that stage. I really believe it.
Yeah, I think I am. I don't think I'm there yet, only because of the with the lack of consistent income. The income in the NFT space, which I'm living on full time right now, is super inconsistent. It's consistently inconsistent, I guess. Like I've never not been net positive, or even really close to that. But I still, I mean, there's like days in between where I won't have any kind of commission work or anything. So I would love to have some kind of stream of income that is more, what's the word, more consistent, just like I know I'm getting this
Reliable.
much money.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah.
reliable in source. And then I would love to, yeah, editor is probably going to have to be the first one to get into. And then I'm just really building a community. I'm not really doing like an NFT project yet, or if I will. But you have an NFT project. You've got like a full on
Mm.
alpha NFT thing, right? Or some kind
No.
of alpha thing.
No, so I don't have an NFT project at all. Basically, what I offer as alpha services is within other projects' Discords. So
Ah,
you go into some Discords and there's the alpha section with news and alpha calls and
right.
security alerts and all of that. So I'm doing that for a couple of projects because
Mm,
anyway I'm doing the research all the time. I'm on the NFT news streams all day, seeing the latest news, and I'm already compiling those lists for the shows. I'm already seeing projects really early that I think are going to blow up. So I'm doing all the work already, and I just thought it was a natural fit to provide alpha services to Discord. So I'm already doing the calls in my Discord, some of them, at no charge. You just come in the Discord. There's no membership. There's no nothing. At this point, it's just
okay.
a service. But
Wow.
yeah, it's just a separate thing that we offer to other projects. So we've got like 7 projects signed up at the moment.
Wow.
And I go in for like 5-10 minutes, set up the channels, and then I just post from different channels in my Discord and transmit it out to them. And it's a win-win because they're adding great value to their holders. They're giving them great information. Yeah, and I'm already doing it. So whether I do it
Yeah.
for 7 or 700, it's easy to scale it because I'm already doing it. So
Yeah.
that's something that I would love to build more because, as I say, it's like so scalable. It's not like I need to be spending hours in each of those Discords.
Yeah, I agree that when I first got into the anti space, it started like that. I was like an alpha caller person for the
Mm.
Ugaverse Space Days project, and I don't focus as much on new projects or like which projects to buy and stuff like that. So I don't think my type of information was as helpful as some of these other alpha callers that people want, especially like the flippers in this space. But yeah, I was in there. I think I would give them certain time sensitive videos like an hour before I would go public. But I think for anyone who's a content creator, even if you're a TikTok or something, I know sometimes people have stigma, have like a, they feel some type of way about TikTokers. They're like, oh, that's not real, or like it's way easier to get followers on TikTok, so people don't take them as seriously sometimes as YouTubers. But I think anyone who's making content can leverage that platform and say, hey, I have these followers for a reason. I'm really good at this stuff. I'm already doing this kind of research. Can I offer any services to your Discord? And then you're able to get some type of compensation. But is that even
Mm.
so? That kind of work, is that something that can sustain someone full time? You think, or is that more of a part time gig?
No, as you said, it's not. Then the next month the project's not doing so well, and they say, "Look, we loved it, thank you, but we're not continuing."
Yeah,
No, nothing in this is a risky space. Nothing in the space is guaranteed. I think unless you're a well-known smart contract writer, because those are hugely in demand, right?
yeah,
And that takes a real skill set. And there's like, okay, today not so many, but sometimes 50, 100 projects a day at the peak of it being launched and needing things. But
yeah,
what we do, I mean, so I've never done it. I've never done it for income. I've been very successful. It was really just something I enjoyed doing that just turned into this. I still don't know how, but I'm still not sure how I feel about it, right? Um, But so for me, I'm lucky, and that's why, like, I have kept the business side. It's not like I'm looking to sell that because that's guaranteed as it gets. It's something I've built. I've got a very established clientele base, and you're lucky from the perspective that you don't have like three children to educate and feed and whatever. So I can't be a cowboy and say, oh, I'm throwing away what's provided my life and gives me consistent income, and I'm just going to do full-time NFT related stuff. But when I was at your stage, I did do that sort of stuff. I took really big risks, and I think like now's the time to do those things like you have. You've become a full-time YouTuber, and I do think when you put yourself out there like you have, opportunities do come. And yes, some months are hard and some months aren't, but I do think it will come. So I
Yeah.
remember when I left, I was selling supplements, like protein shakes and carbohydrate drinks
You
and
worked in a
creatine and
store?
all of that. Yeah, so I used to work in pharmacies while I was studying, right?
Yeah.
And then when I finished studying, I carried on doing that, and I was doing a little bit of like Perkel was small, but I was doing some of that. And it got to a stage where I had to make the decision whether I leave my guaranteed source of income, which was the selling of supplements, and start Perkel full time or not. And it was very difficult. It was a difficult decision. And let's just say I was making like $1,000 a month selling supplements or whatever it was. The first like month of Perkel, I made like $300. And the second month I made like 500, and then the third month 200. And it took a good year before I could actually look back and say, I'm actually making what I was making employed, but now I'm self-employed, right? And
Hmm.
that was a really tough time, but I did it at the right time. I did it when I didn't have financial responsibilities. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, worst case, I had bread and water instead of, or whatever. I
Yeah.
could because but I wasn't making my family have that, right? My children, because I didn't. So I do think now's the time to take those sort of risks, and they do end up paying off. You've just got to stay that course. Don't listen to any of the noise. Like don't waver. You've got a vision, and you've got a good vision, and just keep going no matter what, and the rest will fall in place as long as you're putting in the work, and you do. So I believe in you so much. I really do.
Thanks, Philip. I appreciate that. And that's fucking woke words for anyone listening too. I mean, the to just continue keeping on is pretty much the answer I've pretty much gathered from anyone who's done anything with their life. They're like, yeah, there's just like boring years, bro. They're like some years just aren't good. He's like, and it's just like on a long enough time span, it doesn't matter. Like it doesn't
Yeah.
matter how Amazon was doing in 2008 or 2009 or like the first couple of years of it versus now. They don't even remember those hard years. Like, oh yeah, that sucked, and then they move on. It's not that big of a deal. So like getting caught up in little moments, little things where you have like a couple weeks where you don't get paid or whatever. If you're able to handle it, like, what did you have any money on the side when you took that risk, or did you literally just say, "Fuck it, I'm just gonna live off whatever I can make"?
I had very little bit.
Mm,
I was paying my way through university, so I'd spent most of anything I'd made at selling those supplements. That was my university fees. Like when I finished university, I had barely anything. So I
mm,
waited about 6 months after. And I was really frugal and saved up a bit. I had maybe 2 months covered, and it took me a
mm.
good year to actually get to where I was before. So it wasn't easy.
Wow.
But I knew that that's like this was the way to do it because I saw the potential in Percal before anyone else did, and I started it, and he's still my best friend. I started Percal with Ellie, so Ellie Perpignan, so that's the Per, and Philip Kalinko is the Cal.
Mm,
So we started it together. And Ellie in that first, like, it couldn't, it was just like for him, no, he didn't see the same shared vision. And he didn't see where it could go. And he was like, no, bro, like, this is like, $60. Yeah, I can't do it. I
yeah.
said, bro, please, I need you. And if we keep going, this will become something. And he said, I'm sure it will, but you'll do it with or without me. And he ended up immigrating, went to London, done incredibly well there. I went there for his wedding, still very close. We left on good terms. But yeah, I can see it in your eyes when I watch you. You've got that same staying power. And you gotta keep doing, and you see it comes into place, And also, I don't know this about you, and I think this might not be a you, but I'm pretty God fearing. I don't think I'm religious, but I'm God fearing. So I really do believe that if you do your bit, the rest is in God's hands, and you got to sort of like let go. You got to say, look, I know that I put in 20 hours of work today, hard work.
Hmm.
Whether that brings in money or not is God's side. All I can do is put in the best work I can and just surrender the rest to God, like really and truly, and be okay with it, and have that faith. And as long as you're doing your bit, in my experience, and really doing your bit, and working like you do, God does the rest. I really do find that, and I think that that's really like when Bianca and I decided to have kids. So I've been married to Bianca. I hope I don't get this wrong. I hope she doesn't watch. I don't even know how old I am sometimes. Like I'm bad with dates. We've been married for 13 years now, and like 4 years into it, we decided we wanted to have a child. And that's a huge financial commitment as well, and many other commitments
Huge.
like that go with it. So listen to this. So we fell pregnant straight away. We planned it that we'd have the baby over December because then I wouldn't have to work. So it
Hmm.
was all perfect, and I usually things go according to plan. And bro, to cut a very long story short, it ended up being twins, right?
Oh my
So
god.
yes, I've got twin 9-year-olds and one 6-year-old. So
Oh
not
my
only is it not
god.
one, but it's two. And then on top of that, they were like 6 or 7 weeks early because Bianca like just couldn't hold them anymore, right? So all the planning went to
Oh
hell.
my
It was in my
god.
busiest time. November is the busiest time. Everything is, and that's when I realized, like I thought up until that point that I was in control. And
Mm.
honestly, I realized at that stage that I'm not in control, and I sort of just let it go. I just sort of whatever will be, and went for it. But yeah, I mean, you learn very quickly with something like that. And then on top of that, my one child had health complications, and it was just a nightmare. I mean, it really, really was. But anything we tried to plan just seemed like it, and then took us another way. So you got to go with it. You got to roll with the punches, but keep doing what you're doing. You know,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
working, grinding, no matter what. And there's very few people who have your staying power, and that's going to hold you in good stead for sure.
I hope so, man. I love doing it. The YouTube is fun for me. I love being in front of the camera. I love filming. Like live stream. If I could live stream every single day, I probably would. It is ending up. Or it does end up being like emotionally draining somehow, even though it doesn't feel like it
Mm.
when I'm doing it. As soon as the camera turns on, I'm good. But afterwards, I like lay in bed. I'm like, holy shit, that was long.
Yeah.
But I love streaming and I love doing YouTube in general. I've wanted to be a YouTuber forever. So this was like the first like niche I've been in where it's like early enough to where I can have a voice and actually be somewhat not oversaturated. Like everyone says, YouTube is oversaturated, and maybe it is. But if there's a new industry, then that industry needs to be saturated, and so you can find an early enough place to make content about and insert your personality, build your own brand. Like I have some NFTs, but they're all photography. They're all little art pieces or like my access keys, but they're not like an NFT project with like 10,000 avatars or anything, because I just want to build the brand and just build the name over the next 50 years to be like a Joe Rogan type figure in this space where it's just like whatever I'm interested, I could just make stuff about that. And, my sponsors will just roll with it. It'll be totally fine. So I'm trying to like project years into the future here and plan for those kind of things. And so far it's been working. There are some days where it sucks and I doubt everything. And I'm like, wait, what am I doing again? Or like, and I start to lose faith, but then I don't know. I feel like just being self-aware and like yeah, being self aware and not believing every single thought that comes to your head as being truth. Sometimes thoughts just pop in your head for no reason, and as soon as they're there, they're just gone, and you don't have to believe all of them. But that shit takes forever. Like that's the problem with movies and shows is it speeds up life. And some people are like, oh, you do this thing, you do that thing, and by the end of the 2 hours, everything's fixed and we're good to go. But in real life, like that 2 hours is like 25 years. It takes fucking
Yeah.
forever. Do you have any tips
It
for
does.
people who are doing business, who want to do business, but they're not? Maybe they don't probably understand what is about to happen to their life if they try and do their own business.
Yeah, look, I feel it's exactly the same as anything else. It's a huge, there's positives and negatives, right?
Mm.
So being self-employed is incredible because I can go there with a long beard and no one tells me to shave. And there's those things. But in the beginning, those months where I didn't make money, I lost money. I would
Mm.
always pay my staff, but I would go hungry, right? Because the buck stops at you. Whereas if you're an employee, you're guaranteed of your paycheck. Obviously,
Yep.
you have to keep your job, but at least that's relatively guaranteed. So there's pros and cons to both sides. I think in the end of the day, you've got to just be able to commit, like you doing in anything. It's the same, and work really, really hard. There's
Hmm.
for me, I feel blessed and whatever. There's no luck in it. It's it's like it's the same as when you used to, well, me, when I used to try pick up girls. You go to 10 and one would say yes, but
Yeah.
great, you're happy as Larry, right? It's the same with business. You try, everything, and you just keep going, and eventually that customer ends up being a customer, or that or that.
Yeah.
But if you want to do that, it's given me a great life. And the other thing is, like, it's the same with NFTs or anything. Never be too sort of full of yourself to grow and to realize
Hmm.
that you're learning. I mean, I'm still in Percal, and I can do it with my eyes closed. Like, I know I've got a complete day planned out for me. I know exactly. I've done it a million times. I never stop making mistakes, and I never stop learning. Like,
Mm.
I'm not, and really, I mean, anything. So you've got to just remember that you never get to the top of anything, and just keep pushing. But it's the same as what you're doing. It's some days you don't want to face it, and you've got to have
Yeah.
that staying power to do it. But my advice to anyone would be, go after what you're passionate about. If that's being an entrepreneur, do it, but don't think it's just going to magically happen. It's going to take a lot of sacrifice and a lot of hard work. If you're willing to put that in, it's well worth it, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. With YouTube, it's the same way. I tried every, like, if you go back on my YouTube 10 years, you can find soccer videos, tutorials, fitness videos, mental health videos. I've done like literally vlogs, every single style of video ever. And none of them took ever. Like, not a single one. Even all the best videos never took. And then one time it worked, and I was like, great. I love NFTs. I love making videos, and it worked this time. And that's when I just said full throttle, foot on the gas. Still door dashing. Was door dashing like 8 to 10 hours a day. Come home, you prepare for the video, film the video, edit the video, go to sleep at like 1, wake up at 9, do it all over again. Did that for like months before I went to do it full time. But I think you have to. It's just kind of like knowing when to pick your shot and then go all in, and like that's where luck is involved. It's like, okay, luck is
Mm,
there, but it's only because one, you were bold as fuck and the universe was like, let's help that man or let's help that
yeah.
woman, let's give him some luck. But it's also like luck doesn't happen unless you put yourself in the position to get there.
Exactly,
So
exactly. And the other thing is that those first 5, 10 years aren't wasted. Even though none of those videos have got more than whatever views, that taught you a million of skill, like, that you're using now, right? Do you know what I mean? So even
mhm,
though none of that took, that like sort of built you to be
right.
ready to take it when you saw the opportunity, and to be prepared and to know what you're doing, so that you could apply that to NFTs now, you know?
Yeah. No, oh, that's actually a great point with because I remember when I was making videos and I was getting like 12 views a video, and I was like, God damn, this is brutal. Why am I even doing this to myself? But I was still making myself film, edit multiple times a day, every single day usually. And it didn't like make sense at that point. But now looking back, I'm like, wow, the ability to have put out that much output made it so that now this is a piece of cake. And even when I don't feel like doing it, I can still make it happen. And it's just like, I guess it's just like with the gym, like you're just going to be a year's worth of strength more if you
Mm,
just continue to
mm,
do it. And damn, that's a great point. That's something I love talking to business people about, and like entrepreneur people, because I never grew up, I don't think I have an entrepreneurial brain. I've just kind of gotten thrown into the world and I just forced myself to learn stuff. But I love learning about that. Like, what were you like before? Because you said you were taking chances in your early 20s, but like, why were you like that? Why weren't you another way? What were you like in like high school?
Yeah, so I mean, my late dad had a very big company here, and was very, very successful. And
Mm,
then when I was about 16 years old or so, I mean, give or take, um, he ended up losing everything. So, long story short, like, he ended up losing everything.
wow.
And I watched this, like, man who was really successful really lose a part of himself. But it also meant I thought I would be able to, like, do nothing my whole life and be sorted. And I learned very quickly that wasn't the case. And I guess for me, that is, looking back, that's probably one of the best blessings that I had, because it forced me to make it on my own. I mean, I'll never forget him coming to me when I was in second year university, and with tears in his eyes, and saying to me, "Phil, I can't pay anymore. There's no money. I can't pay for you to go to
Yeah.
university anymore." And even though at
Wow.
the time it seemed like the world was ending, looking back, it's, I've never had that safety blanket financially in my life. There's no one that I could go to if I
Mhm.
needed anything. that gives you a drive that is very hard to replicate, like
Agreed.
survival. Do you know what I mean?
Agreed.
That's why I made it work no matter what. And in the beginning with Perkel, I actually tried computers first. We had Perkel computers. I tried a South African eBay, so we had Perkel auctions, and we had Perkel corporate gifts. All and like if you needed anything, whatever you need, we do it. And then after a couple of months or years, I saw that the corporate gift side was doing so much better than anything else, and I had to then stop doing the other things. So yeah, it was about that. But at school, I was like not interested in anything. I used to bunk classes. Used to go out during the week and party. And I'm happy for that as well, because I got that all out of my system. That when it came to after school, I was quite happy to like knuckle down. I mean, I used
Yeah.
to sit there just like you. I did everything myself. I used to sit there until 2, 3 in the morning every morning, just loading products on our website from different suppliers, getting the pictures, adding the
Mm.
description, uploading it for about a year. I used to work literally 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. Even when I just met Bianca, so even 14 years ago, so that means even 6 years into it, or maybe 15, we were dating for 2 years.
Mm.
She knew that she would come and watch a movie, but I would be on my laptop loading products. So it took a long time. I'm saying maybe 5 years of really hard work doing everything yourself
Mm.
before it could really sustain itself properly and get a bit of help, hire a bit of help.
Yeah, and you said a lot of interesting stuff there. Something that I resonate with is forcing yourself to be uncomfortable, and because you can't replicate that how you said. Like it's almost impossible to replicate survival unless you're in that situation for real. And one story that caught me. I don't know if you saw Squid Games. Did you see that the show?
No,
Okay, so in
I've
the
heard
Squid
of it
Games,
just because
yeah,
of the crypto. Wasn't there a
yeah,
currency
there
squid?
was a
Just because of
currency
that
actually.
side,
Yeah,
I know it's a show and whatever, but I
yeah,
haven't seen it.
Squid Game. So in the show, there's this it's kind of like Hunger Games style where there's this rich guy who owns this world, and they pay these people to participate in this game that's really deadly and shit. And the guy who's in charge of it, spoiler alert, just like a quick spoiler alert, it's not like a huge deal. Actually, it is kind of a huge deal. Are you gonna watch the show?
I'm not going to watch it, but the
Okay, can I
viewers,
say
as
it?
long as the viewer, for me, I don't mind, but as long
Okay,
as you're
okay.
not
All
spoiling
right.
it for any viewers.
Turn mute on if you don't want to have a huge giveaway in the show. But the guy who's like helping the main character is like this old guy, and he's very rich. And we find out that he's very rich at the very end of the show when we find out the guy who was in there with him, pretending to be a participant, was the owner and was just there to like feel alive again and to like have these like crazy events happen where people have to risk their life doing these. He's like, I want to be in that situation just so I can feel what it feels like to be scared because I'm so rich, I can do anything I want. And I was like, holy shit, that's wild. Because when I left a year ago on my trip to travel the country in my car, um, I nothing was forcing me to leave, and so I got tattoos on my hands, so it would like kind of rule me out for a lot of job interviews. A lot of jobs won't even hire you if you have tattoos on your hands. And then I basically like ripped out the car seats and like got the car ready to go. And you basically like force myself to be like, okay, like you have to go. At some point, we're gonna finish preparing, and like you have to go. And until you're like in that position, you're probably not gonna make yourself do it. It's really hard unless you have like an internal
Mm.
motivator. Like do you have that or
Yeah, very
the
much.
internal motivator?
I wanted to be independent. I
Mm,
wanted and and I had a lot. I saw how much it destroyed my dad. So so much of your self worth and everything is put on your financial standing, and I don't think that that's right, and I don't think it should be like that. But I really saw like the strong, respected, amazing man like sort of start crumbling over the years, and
mm,
it was terrible to watch. And look, I've still got, please God, 50, 60 years ahead of me, and I can't say that I won't lose anything at some stage. But my hope is that I won't. My dad was a chartered accountant and an amazing businessman. He was a very big risk taker, very big. So he'd build a great company, and he'd get bored and he'd sell it, make money, and then move on to the next one. And that's how he went. And except for NFTs, I'm actually really risk adverse. I really, really am. I
really
don't, yeah, very risk adverse.
interesting.
With I work very hard. For every cent that comes in, selling 1 rand plastic pens, I've got to sell a lot of plastic pens to buy a Clone X.
Right.
So I'm very risk averse. With that said, anything that I've invested in NFTs has been money that I can afford to lose. So, if I'm sitting there and the kids have got everything they need and the house is paid off and all of that, and let's just say I've got $100 left that is not for a rainy day, I've got another $100 for a rainy day. I'm
Mm-hmm.
taking like $10 of that $100 that is doing nothing and I don't need, and putting that in NFTs. So
Gotcha.
and because of that, I can weather the ups and downs. Because if it does, I really do believe in the projects I'm invested in for the most part. If they go to zero, it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be able to pay rent or whatever it may be. So I've got a staying power because I know I've looked into these projects well, and I've done my research and I believe in them. So I think it's going to do well, but it doesn't worry me that it's gone down 50%. I don't want it to go to zero, but I trust
Mm.
myself enough that I've made a good decision. And if it does go to zero, then it's not like it's going to affect my standard of life. So I'm lucky to be in that position that I know that this is gambling. That's the truth of the matter. This is a
Yeah.
form of gambling.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm
Yeah.
only
100%.
gambling with money that I can completely afford to write off. I'm
Yeah.
hoping that it does well. Look, a month ago I was doing incredibly well. I really was. I really was. My value versus what I
Uh,
invested versus the value was
yeah.
amazing. Sitting here today with Ethereum half the price and all the projects half the price, so
Yep.
effectively they're 25% the price because it's
Right.
half. It used to be 100 ETH, it's now 50 ETH, but 50 ETH is actually 25 ETH. Then I'm not up at the moment as we stand here right now, but it's not a short term game for me.
Mm-hmm. That's a great point. What
But
what
I
projects
I
are you
agree
looking
with you.
at? Or what projects, not what are you looking at? What projects that you are looking at that you hold longer term, what do they have in common?
So all of them have a really good team, and so I've stopped. I'm not interested if I can't look into the founder, what is it, what has he done, all the rest of that. So they've all got good teams with a proven track record. So just as an example, like CloneX is Nike behind them, and I believe in it long term. But not everyone has the ETH to buy CloneX. But even then, you can buy one of those boxes. The new box is like 2.5 ETH. Even if you don't, and that's still a lot. But you can then also get into Adidas, which is the exact same thinking. A huge
Mm.
corporation. Those boxes, those avatar things, their phase two are like 1.2 ETH. Still a lot, but again, there's not huge risk there because Adidas is watching Nike and they're going to want to prove themselves. Yes, they're a couple of months behind, but I honestly think that 1.2 Ethereum is like one of the safest bets that you could do at this particular time because they're going to deliver. Because in real life, Nike and Adidas are constantly competing. Why they're
Mhm.
going to be different in the metaverse? So like stuff like that. Obviously, Bored Ape Yacht Club ecosystem because of their track record of delivering. So that includes Meebits. It includes now the land that you can get it currently at about 2.5 ETH. I do think long term that's going to look like a good investment. Again, not financial advice, but I do believe that. So yeah, I mean, I didn't get into Azuki. It was too new for me. So I didn't know. I wasn't comfortable spending that. By the time it came on my radar, it was already over 10 ETH.
Right.
I wasn't comfortable spending on something like that. But again, anything with a good founder behind it, a good team. So even like I know these are all expensive NFTs. I'm trying to think of a cheaper example. I was going to say Kevin Rose, but I mean anyone who spends 22 Ethereum on a
Yeah.
little bird. I don't know. Let me have a look. I'll tell you what else I'm quite interested in. Um, Hero Galaxy, but I think they're quite expensive also. I really like NFT worlds. So at the moment, their avatars are sub half a ETH, and
Mm.
that gives you some world token from their games. So that's a cheap way to enter a good metaverse. Obviously, VFriends. I mean, that's a builder in the
Yeah.
space like any other. So even Series 2, even though there's 55,000, I don't know that now is the best buying time because it's still fresh. They might still go
Yeah.
down quite a bit, but long term to hold anything Gary V, you could buy a book
Agreed.
game for point. You can buy a book game for point one, and he'll still deliver value on book games.
Yeah.
What else is there? Robotos. I know the team there's hard at work. Pablo there is an amazing artist. They're at point three at the moment. I think that's a great entry. The 10KTF ecosystem because it's the same the same guy. It's guy. Sorry, the same guy from Bored Ape Yacht Club. He's a founder of RTKFT, and they've got a lot of collabs. And their stockroom items are starting at point two. So
Mm.
there's a lot. There's a lot. But the common thing is that I know who the guys behind every one of those projects are. Not personally. I've never met any of them, but I know, okay, well, he's done this before and he's done that before. And that's what makes me bullish on it. Obviously, there's a degen in me, and sometimes, I'm sitting in the Nifty Alpha Discord and there's a triple derivative,
Oh
Doodle,
shit.
Punk, whatever, and everyone's buying it. And, but
Kevin MFers. Were you there for Kevin
yeah,
MFers?
I was, but I never got it. I never
Bro,
got
my
into it.
God.
There is a degen in me, but I do hold it back for the most part. I really
Yeah.
do because it's
Yeah.
just so much
But you
energy.
lose most of the time. Like every time I fucking
Yeah,
do something stupid, I'm like, oh, I'm just gonna see if this works. It never fucking works. I
no.
always lose. It's like
And
it
then
never
if it does
happens.
work, I double down, and then
Yeah,
I end up losing. So let's say
exactly.
I bought at 0.001 and I sold it at point
Uh,
0.1. I buy another one at point
yep.
0.1 and try to sell at point 0.2.
I've done that so many. That's why I fucked myself. I've done that so many times where I buy something. I remember I had like made a huge flip on like don't even know what maybe a Doge pound. I think I had flipped a Doge pound for a lot, and I was able to like I had a lot of ETH to deploy, and I bought into these well, no, not zombie toads, stacked toads that had gone to like
Yes,
4 or 5
yes,
ETH in the summer,
yes.
and I was like, yo, these crashed heavy. I'm gonna buy
I know.
as many as I can. And they never I think they went back up to like point 0.9 and then they just crashed and I just lost
So
all that
that's the
money.
same. That's how I view, and this is very controversial, but that's how I view Azuki at the moment. Guys who are
Hmm.
buying the beans now is the stack toads. They went down substantially because of whatever. There are different reasons with stack toads, but also issues that they had. And then everyone thought it was gonna. It's the same as the guys who were buying Luna, the currency, at 1 cent. They know it's high risk, but it's high reward, right?
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I stay away. So I had a couple of beans. And even before the spaces, when I heard when I read that article, I just get out. I'm not interested because
Yeah.
I made the mistake on Jungle Freaks.
I
I
was
had,
have you saw my tweet about that? I was talking about Jungle
I,
Freaks. I was like, this is exactly what happened with Jungle Freaks.
I made that mistake on Jungle Freaks. I was
Yeah.
in the project, then all these allegations came out, and I thought, nah, look, I definitely don't agree, but I heard his side of it. His side was like, look, he was an employee there, none of it was his idea at all, and he just sort of did what he was, and it was 50 freaking years ago. It was a different, or 30 years ago, it's a different world, and, none of that is his belief, and I thought, yeah, okay, it's not great, but, I'm not getting out at point 0.2 now when I
Yeah.
paid
Yeah.
1.5 ETH and I ended up getting out at 0.002. I have seen that come back a
Oh.
little bit now.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh my
but yeah,
god.
so since then, if there's any sign of real FUD, so not rubbish FUD, not like, but real FUD, like that's got merit, I'm not sticking around. I'm the
Yeah.
first guy out the door, gone, disappeared, gone.
I agree. That's probably the best way to do it. I remember when Mutant Shiba Club minted, I had gotten whitelisted somehow for that, and we were in this group chat on Discord, and we were like, "So what should we do? Like, should we sell?" We were like monitoring the floor and like checking all these things, and I was like, "Man, we're in such a shit part of the market." And I was like, "It's not going to 1 ETH, like no chance." And so I just got the fuck out within 5 minutes, and I just like hung out there while they were like deciding, and it just couldn't get that firepower up. But man, yeah, the degen in me. Uh, I miss it sometimes. I don't use as much money to buy NFTs recently just because I'm kind of trying to move. So I'm like using money on like real world stuff, which is so
Yeah,
sad. So
do
I'm sitting
that.
there with like
No,
a
do
lot of
that.
money, but I'm like, oh, I want that NFT so bad.
I know, I get it. I mean, look, I've got some capital deployed, and I still am like that. There's never
Yeah,
enough ETH. There's never.
yeah,
I mean,
true.
I would. There's so many opportunities right now. Okay, World of Woman under 5 Ethereum. Okay,
Yes, I
yeah, a
know.
million. I could rattle off a million. There's never enough ETH. So just like you feeling that, I'm feeling that as well. Definitely, exactly what we said. Sort out real stuff first,
Yeah.
and only when it's money that's really not needed at all. I mean, as I said, I've got money in stocks, meaning I've just got a stockbroker that's invested for me. So I'm not
Hmm.
in stocks, right?
Right.
But I've got, and so I've got different, like in South Africa, big thing is Kruger coins, which is like solid gold coins. I've got a few of those. Like I try to be diversified, and then like literally like 5%, 10% of the money that's being invested in other things, I'm saying, okay, screw it, I'm playing with it a bit, and I'm going to try my best in
Yeah.
NFTs, but if it goes to zero, it goes to zero. It's my speculation pay. So again, if you need and you at this stage of a life, money, real money, getting a place of your own, that sort of stuff. You need that well before you can degen in, and later on there'll be
True.
lots of time. Really.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I agree. And plus, I mean, I don't know where at what point in like a grand scheme of things market we're at for NFTs because we haven't seen like even a full year yet. I don't think, or maybe just yeah, maybe we have seen a year since like waves and stuff. But I don't even know where I was going with that. I had a thought there, and I started with it, and then it just disappeared from me. But
No,
I
it's
did have a.
okay.
What were you gonna say?
No, that's okay. I mean, it
Oh,
happens to the best of us.
yeah,
Yeah, it is risky. It's just over a year old. And
yeah,
throwing money that you need will force you to make bad decisions because you don't lose
mm,
money until you sell, right? So
right,
anyone who's like bought a Bored Ape at 150 2 weeks ago and sells it at 80 today has lost. Anyone who doesn't sell it
yeah,
at 80 today and holds until the next drop in 2 months when it will go to 170. So you only
hmm,
really lose when you sell. But if you need that money in between and you're
hmm,
forced to sell at that 80, then you're in trouble. And that's why it shouldn't be money that you need. It should be money that you can play with and write it off in your mind.
yeah, yeah. Do you think? Because you said you're 39, right?
Mm.
Do you think that because I mean, there's a lot. I feel like a lot of people who at least follow me in the NFT space are young. They're like a lot of them are in high school. I don't even know how they're able to afford these things, but I see like a lot of young people. Do you think having an extra like 15 years of business life experience, but also just experience with money and experience in life has helped you in the NFT space versus all these like 21-year-old, 19-year-old alpha colors that you see on YouTube and stuff like that?
Yeah, for sure. When you're 21, you're invincible. I mean, I remember when I first got my driver's license, bro, the way I used to drive, I don't know how I never like killed myself. Now I'm scared about walking
Yeah.
downstairs. I might kill myself, right? Your risk tolerance changes as you get older. You sort of
Mm,
realize you're not invincible, and you start to realize your own mortality. And it's the same thing. It's the same thing with money. You sort of realize that, you know, how many times people have said outside of NFTs, invest with us, we'll double your money in a year or two, and they always end up to be rubbish, right?
yeah.
So I always go in, I say on the show, with skeptical spectacles, right? I really do. I look at it skeptically, and also, when you've had to work hard for that money, and you need, it makes you a little bit more. It's like I said, I need to sell 1 million pens, a
Mm,
million 1 rand cheap pens, in order to buy a Bored Ape, right? I'm going to think twice. It could take me a couple of
right.
years to sell 1 million pens, right?
Yeah.
So yeah, I do think it does give me the upside there. But again, I wouldn't be involved in the space in any way, shape, or form as far as degen and buying of NFTs if it was money that I needed. I don't think that should be the way it should be done.
Yeah.
Learn about
That's
the
pretty
space,
smart.
build in the space, become a mod in the Discord, do that sort of stuff, but don't get involved in it yourself because one bad call can knock you out. It's like you were saying, like guys want to come in with $3,000 and think there's no way to magically choose the right project. Like Doge Pound was a sure bet. They're sitting at point 0.3 at the
Hmm.
moment. A lot of people bought in at 1.5.
Yeah.
There's no such thing as a sure bet.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, there's a lot of projects that I'm interested in have gone down and some that haven't, some have actually stabilized. And I'm very interested to see what the bottoms and the tops of projects are short term, short or like maybe short to midterm. Like how high could Bored Apes really go where people are still buying them? Like is it going to be 200 ETH where it's capped off? Like at what point can people just not afford to buy a Bored Ape? And then at how low can projects go? Like can Bored Apes ever get back down to 20 ETH or is it nope, it's like 50 is like a bottom or like whatever it is. Like, what are
Uh,
your thoughts on the bottoms and tops?
I think if we're talking Bored Apes, I really do think the worst case scenario is around 50, and
Mm,
and that's bad. So I'm saying we currently got a bit of a war, a big war in Ukraine, right? We know that the state is going into recession. We've got a lot of big stuff coming. Even with all of that in mind, and the crypto crash that we've recently had, even if that carries on, I think 50 ETH is where it's at as far as the absolute bottom. Because the reason with Bored Apes that I believe that is because it's become a status symbol. It's
mm-hmm,
almost become like, the Rolex or the Ferrari of NFTs. And even in bad times, there are always very wealthy individuals who see that as a status symbol who can afford it. They're
Right.
not
True.
working anymore. They're retired. So I do think that Bored Apes won't go, lower than that. The top for it is an interesting question. And it depends. It depends on so much. But the nice thing about Bored Ape Yacht Club is they will be here. They will be that 1% that survive because they are, when they bought CryptoPunks, they just cemented that. Before it was, is it going to be Bored Ape or CryptoPunks? Now, Yuga Labs is the OG, and even though 99 projects will fail, they will succeed. So
Mm.
if that continues year after year after year, the sky's the limit, really. I mean, there will be dips in between and whatever, but it really could go, because more and more people will want it, a piece of history.
Yeah. I wonder who could compete with the Board Ape Yacht Club, like what it would take to be able to actually compete. Like people were comparing Moonbirds for a couple days because it went up so high, but they were like,
Yeah.
yeah, but can Moonbirds do anything? Like they've only been out like a week, like people were trying to compare Board Apes. I'm like, they've been out for a year. Like, what are you talking about? It's not the same thing. Like, what would it take? Could a project who didn't start in 2021, do they even have a chance against Board Ape Yacht Club?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you saw before Facebook, we had MySpace.
Mm,
Right, and I don't know, that might be before your time, but before Facebook, there was something called MySpace where we used to do
yeah.
the same thing, and MySpace was the in thing, and all of a sudden, Facebook came and improved on everything that MySpace had, and more
Mm,
people were there, and it came in. I think, look, Kevin Rose is interesting. Improved Collective and Moonbird is interesting. I actually think that like a Clone X has as good a chance as anyone as getting to that level. I really do. I really believe in them long term, and it's a perfect fit. Nike and NFTs is a perfect fit. It just fits into what they're achieving, what they want, and they're going for it properly. And they're actually following the Bored Ape way, like just value, airdrop after airdrop after airdrop, and they're innovating in their own way as well. So I think something like that,
mm,
where capital-wise, they can very much compete with Bored Ape Yacht Club. They've got as much more. I mean, what Bored Ape Yacht Club raised $450 million for 10%, so it's
yeah.
valued at about $5 billion, right? But if you take their token price of $7, $8 currently, it's valued at about $8 billion. So call it $10 billion. How much is Nike worth, okay? I mean, what is the valuation of Nike?
I
Let me
actually
type
have
it in here.
no idea. You looking it up?
Nike, yeah, Nike value. Just have a look. So 2022 brands, they're worth $33 billion.
Jesus. That's
I thought it
so
was.
much
I
money.
actually thought it. I thought it was more because if Yuga Labs is worth, you know, 8 billion based on its token price, which
Yeah.
isn't the fair way to do it because you look at Dogecoin. Dogecoin is then worth 12 billion, and they do
Yeah.
absolutely
Yeah.
nothing. So maybe token price isn't the way. The better way is venture capital. What they raised was for 10%, so it puts them at a 5 billion valuation. So Nike's got the firepower. They've got 33 billion. They've also in secondary sales done like something like $100 million, right, with
Hmm.
all their collections on
Yeah.
NFT sites.
Yeah.
So
Royalty can
they
breed so much money.
they've seen the financial value to this. If there was a couple of older execs sitting there that didn't believe in it before, it's like, well, here we go, boss. Here's your 100 million check for the last 3 months. He's like, okay, like let's
Yeah.
carry on with this. Let's give it a bit more resources. So I think that maybe is the strongest contender at the moment. Would be
Yeah.
like a Nike type thing.
That's interesting. Yeah, that is really
Mm.
interesting. And I wonder if this other projects. I mean, I think there are enough like mid-tier projects where everyone believes that their project's going to be the one that makes it, but in reality, like very long term thinking for like a metaverse, walking around with your avatar, like how many projects really can be still cool in 5 to 10 years? Like it's really like probably not going to be any, like maybe one or two of the mid tiers, but it's like I don't know if there'll be any of those that are
Yeah,
worth having still. Like are people still going to care just because it's from 2021?
yeah. It's interesting. I mean, I don't know. You saw 8-Bit Me, that collection from 2010,
Mm,
came up and all of a sudden went straight to 2 and straight back down to half a ETH or point 0.3. We saw
mm.
the same thing with Crypto Skulls, which is
And
earlier
plasma
than,
bears too, I think.
yeah. And so there will be that resurgence. If it gets completely mainstream, like instead of 1.5 million active wallets, we've got like 50 million active wallets, then there will be value forever in
Mm,
those OG collector relics. So it's going to be interesting to see. I think in mid-tier at the moment, obviously Doodles is doing a lot of right things from a marketing perspective at the moment. They really are, and doing it their own way, which is good to see. And you've got a couple others in the midterm that are interesting. I think you spoke to Betty the other day. I think Deadfellas is interesting. As I said, Robotos, even though they 0.3, I know how hard that team works. So there are some that are definitely interesting. What's going to be around in 5 years, mate? I don't know. And if I'm still around, we can sit down again and we'll check what's left. I know I'm not that old, but NFTs 1 month is like a
Um,
year. So by
yeah.
then I'll be like 150 or something.
Well, I always
But
tell
no one
people
can
that
tell
if
you.
they want to make money, I feel like stacking ETH is probably a more easier way. You probably have a lot less mental stress all the time. Like
Mm.
ETH, I feel like stacking ETH over a long period of time is pretty smart because we are going to hit a point of deflation, and ETH will be, well, more than likely, at least for now, is the main everything. Everything's running Ethereum. And so I'm like, it just makes sense. Like that would probably be the real move rather than making bets on a lot of NFT projects. Maybe in the short term you could do that, but like over a long period of term, I feel like a lot of people are maybe stacking ETH, or maybe they were stacking in fucking Luna and just took a fat L there. Like, could you imagine having money in a stable coin and losing all of your money? Like, what would you do if you
And
lost
clever
90%
people.
of it? Yeah,
No, well, I can't because I haven't invested. Like, I wouldn't allow myself to speculate with that amount of money. You've
right.
got to have a diversified portfolio. And even
Hmm.
within NFTs, I feel that's the case. So have one
True.
metaverse, have one P2E, have one art, have one, have a bit of a mix inside of there. And the same thing with stacking ETH. So at the moment, yes, ETH is good, but you think of the blockchain, like ETH is not a great technology. It's slow. It can handle like what 1,000 a minute or something transactions, which is nothing. So there's a
Yeah.
chance that something comes tomorrow and just blows ETH out the water. I do think that ETH is the second best to Bitcoin at the moment, but that could change. So I would have a little bit in Bitcoin, a little bit in ETH, a little bit to speculate with. But I know like one guy in particular, but a lot of clever guys who believed in Luna, like I can't tell you,
Yeah.
like clever guys who know, just like NFT space, they know the crypto space, and they were betting their bottom dollar on Luna,
Wow.
and have
Oh
really
my
been wiped
god.
out because a lot
Damn.
of people have staked it, hey. So
Yeah.
even though they saw it going down, you can't sell it. I mean,
Yeah.
I feel so
People,
sorry
it's
for guys.
it's terrifying. It is terrifying. Not being able to sell, like with Robinhood when that happened with the GameStop AMC
Yeah,
thing. I had some Axie Infinity staked, and I couldn't do anything. It's fucking stuck
terrible.
because the bridge is frozen. I'm
Yeah.
just like, are you fucking kidding me? I was like, God, this like crypto sucks so bad right now. But it's early. Like, what do we expect? It's like everything's fucking, rough. It's a rough draft of what the future will look like. It's a rough draft. The intro paragraph, we're like in there trying to figure it out as we go. Like, of course everything sucks. Like, I remember a summer
Mm.
ago there weren't even videos about MetaMask. What if, like, if something went wrong with your MetaMask, you're just like,
The-
I guess someone help me, please. Like, I guess I
yeah.
like I put it in a Reddit forum or something. But now there's so much content out there, and so many people are interested in NFTs. How much bigger you think we're going? Because everyone was speculating when Coinbase NFT came out, we'd fly to the
Yeah.
fucking moon, and nothing happened.
Yeah.
Like nothing at all
Yeah.
happened. Is NFTs, are they a bubble, or do you think in the long term we can go mainstream?
Look, as I said, the blockchain technology is the future. It's just like internet was 20 years ago.
Hmm.
It's going to be your papers for your house. It's going to
Right,
be
right.
your medical. You're going to go to a hospital and give them scan your phone and there's all your medical records. It is the
But our
future. There's no,
dinosaurs. But what about our dinosaurs and our beetles and our bats and our like what happens to those NFTs? Are those toast?
I think most of them are toast. I think there will be. I do. I really do. I think
Yeah.
there some of them like, and I'm saying board ape, and I do believe it, but I could even be wrong about that.
Hmm. Could be
But
Yahoo. They could be the Yahoo.
some of them, are, yeah, exactly. Or the MySpace, like I was saying with
Hmm.
Facebook, the same thing. So some of them will be around as like this is the early beginning of it. Like when you see the internet and they show you those computers that were the size of a whole room. Those
Yeah.
computers are worth money.
Yeah.
Those because there's historical value. So I think some of them, but that's what it's going to be. The NFT technology is not pictures.
Hmm.
It's not. It is the new world. So
Yeah.
pictures is people experimenting with it, and some of them, a very few of them, will stand the time, but the vast majority, I don't think they will, and that's why I'm no longer diamond-handed. If I can 5x, 10x, I'm out, and I don't look back.
Mm.
I'm happy to move on because I know that the chances are that that project's going to zero in a couple of months. You know.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree. I think yeah, that's a great point right there. Honestly, that's actually like a wonderful point, and I feel like that's a great place to stop there. But for people who are listening right now, who I'm sure there's a lot of people who stuck in here from the beginning because the numbers stay pretty static. So if you're in the chat, make sure you click that like button and subscribe to the channel. But if you like, if you want to plug your socials, like what kind of videos you make mainly, like what kind of people should be watching your channel. That way, people who are watching, like some people came in late, they were kind of wondering like what you're about. So yeah, where can people find you?
Yeah. So my Twitter is at Philip Kalinko. I think Cade, you'll probably have to plug them into somewhere
Yeah,
so
they're
people
they're in
can
the
see them.
description. Yeah, his YouTube and Twitter is in the description, by the way.
Yeah, the YouTube channel, we do live videos, at least 3 times a week. Fridays is very similar, Kate, to what you do with that nice guy who comes on with you.
Tom,
I do that
nice.
with Tom. I do that with Morland, where we just pretty
Hey,
much what we've done here. Just chat NFTs and whatever. And then they can come into my Discord. Everyone's welcome. Again, no membership, no NFT to get in, and it's a good place to be. Lots of alpha and things like that. But yeah, definitely come on and subscribe to our YouTube if you haven't already. But Kate, for me, this has been such a thing. I really respect you so much, and I thank you so much for having me. And I hope we can do it again sometime because I've had so much fun. I could carry on for the next 10
yeah.
hours.
I was gonna say, yeah, that conversation flew by. That was a great time. Down to come on your show if you guys are ever in need of a guest or something. I think it'd be super fun. So hell yeah, man. And
Definitely, I'd love it.
for yeah, and for anyone who's listening right now, if you made it to the very end, you're with us right now. I want the code word. I want to spam in the chat. It's gonna be Philip in all caps, so that we know that you made it to the end. And if this is not your first episode with me, if you've watched the Joyage Kingdom podcast before, I want to see OG spammed in the chats. But other than that, yeah, I think we're gonna peace out of here. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow us on our socials and stuff. Philip, thanks for coming on, dude.
Thank you, my brother. It's been a good
Yeah,
time. I'll see you soon.
hell yeah, man. Guys, until next time, continue on your Joyage, continue to learn, and be grateful you're alive watching this video. Bye.
Yeah, thanks, guys.